Alright, thank you for tuning into my channel. As you can see, I finally got a new camera, so I'm going to upload some more content. Today, what we're going to talk about is how to get 350 horsepower out of the crank of either your 350Z or, as you can see here, your G35. So I've owned my G35 for 12 years. I've had it ever since college. It's been a great car. I could have gone with boost, but I've decided I'm going to wait till the engine blows, which it's at 160,000 miles and it's my everyday driver. So when that happens, I'll put boost on it. But until then, the engine's not built. It's just at 350 horsepower, and how I'm going to show that to you is I have some dyno videos that I'll link into this video so you can see as proof. I have a dyno video from when it was OEM, a dyno video from when I had the Nvidia Gemini exhaust, and then a dyno video from when I finally got Motordyne art pipes and Motordyne Shockwave. So the gain I was able to get was 37 wheel horsepower and 45 wheel torque. And what I wanted to do today is show you my build list and how I was able to get 350 horsepower at the crank, and maybe you can also get it too. So let's go ahead and let's begin.
I'm OG, y'all new to the game.
The sun was bad over there, so I put the binder over here. There's a little shot of the inside. Okay, so here's the mods that you would need. This book, as you can tell, is pretty thick. I've documented everything done to this car. I just haven't posted it to YouTube until I got a new camera, so that's what I'm doing now. So you're probably wondering, quit blabbing, tell me about the 350 horsepower, because that's what you're here for. Okay, first things first, let's go over the history of the G35. The G35 only came with 280 horsepower. Now let's remember, back in 2003, 2004, 280 horsepower out of a V6 was some of the highest in the industry. When actually this car came out, in 2005, if you bought a manual 6-speed from 05 to 07 G35s, you got 298 horsepower. So back in 05, 298 horsepower, like I'm saying, was the highest V6 you could get. The only thing that really had more power was a BMW M3, and it had an inline 6, and it made 333 horsepower. So I went with the G, although the M3 E46 is a beautiful design. I actually have a 325 CI E46. That's the daily. The girlfriend's basically my daily. Okay, there was an open dyno day I was able to go to when my car was completely bone stock, and I have that dyno sheet here. So as you can see, this is a base pull, completely no mods at all. This was done on a Mustang dyno. And the final numbers were, if this will focus in, was 245 and 211. So 298 from the factory. If you factor this in at 245 to the wheels on a Mustang dyno, it's around 20% drivetrain loss. So I get this where it's not so glary. So it's 20% drivetrain loss at 245. So the first mods that I did, I went ahead and put Motordyne MREV2, Motordyne 5/16 spacer, which I could show you back here. This is when I tore it off, put the MREV2 in, the lower plenum. There's the old one, had a bunch of oil in it, so I put a catch can in it so I wasn't sucking in oil in my air intake. There's the actual MREV2 right there installed with the 5/16 spacer. So let's see here. So the first thing I did is, oh yeah, I put the stock exhaust with that, that's right. So it had Burke high flow cats, and I can give you a picture of them here now. That actually, see those cats, they actually blew out. So those blew out on the dyno run. This is what my stock exhaust looked like. As you can see, it's only a 2 1/4 inch, 2.25 inch pipe. Comes on a Y pipe into a single, and then back in here into the muffler. So let's see. So with that installed, just a stock exhaust, MREV2 5/16 spacer. I was very disappointed. I made 255 when I went to the dyno. 255 at the dyno. So the MREV2 did as it was supposed to. It gave me 35 wheel horsepower, but just having Burke high flow cats and the OEM exhaust was 255, so I only gained 10 wheel horsepower. And I really wanted to keep the Burke, the OEM exhaust, because I really liked the way it sounded. I didn't know, the sound could get better. And once I was there at the tuner, they really kind of made fun of me for wanting to keep the stock exhaust. So what I did is I got the Nvidia exhaust, which is this right here. Get the glare off that. So Nvidia Gemini, instead of having 2.25, the pipe goes, instead of it being a C how it's a single, the pipe goes into a true dual, and the pipe size is only 2.35, or 2.33 inches actually. So when I did that mod, I went back to the tuner. I also put test pipes in because the Burke high flow cats had blown. And from that, on the Mustang dyno, I got 269. So I gained 24 wheel horsepower and 35 wheel torque. And I have that video right here. Okay, and then on my Nvidia Gemini exhaust, I was happy with it, the tune. The thing is like at 2000 RPM, it had a slight bit of drone, and I didn't even know what drone was in RASP. And Nvidia Gemini is supposed to be the quietest exhaust out there. So it wasn't until I actually heard Motordyne in person, and I read a couple different articles on it about the science and engineering behind it, that I had to have it. And it was exactly right. So the first thing I did was I went ahead and put these arc pipes on the Nvidia Gemini. As soon as that happened, the car was immediately, like, the drone and RAS got drastically reduced. I was impressed. Like, the ART pipes was really where it's all at. And they make 10 more wheel horsepower than regular test pipes, which I'm about to show you here right now, because that's what I went with. Since I love the ART pipes so much by Motordyne, I went ahead and, you know, made, I guess you'd say nutted up, but paid the $2,000 for the Shockwave exhaust, and it was worth every single penny. It was definitely by far the best mod to this car. And I mean, once you see all the rave out there on the line about it, you understand why. And it's all about the exhaust note. That it makes extra additional horsepower, or more horsepower than any other exhaust out there. That's just a bonus. The exhaust note is what's so special about it. So anyways, enough rambling on that. I went ahead and got the ART pipes. So I'd gotten rid of these resonated test pipes. Here's the ART pipes that I had out and installed, because I did the installation myself, just like I did with the, here's the article out there on import tuner factor fiction on ART pipes. This article really convinced me, because after reading that, I was like, wow, that's impressive. So let's see here. Oh yeah, that's when I installed the clutch myself. I have a picture of it out. Let's see. Okay, and here it is. Motordyne Shockwave. Here it is installed. And as you can see, these are what's special about it, is these canisters. Not only the canisters, the exhaust itself is a progressive exhaust. It's the only one on the market like it. It starts out at 2.5 inches, and then it goes progressively to 3 inches. And then these canisters, these Holmes resonators is what it's called, is actually used to control the pulse wave. Helps build scavenging, which will increase power, and by controlling the pulse wave, you're able to control the exhaust note, which makes a very distinctive note, and no YouTube will do it any justice. So once you hear it in person, do you understand what the big rave is about this exhaust. So after I got that exhaust done, see, here was the old Nvidia Gemini. Here's the beast, the Shockwave. It looks so much better. I went with the Nvidia Gemini at first because I like the OEM look with this canister back there, but the Shockwave looks way better. So once I did that, of course, I had to, you know, get the Nismo diff cover, and I also had to put in a white line bushing because it just looks a lot better. So let's go to the dyno video with these new mods. Hold on here. Before that, there's a couple other things I added too. So I added the NWP, the throttle body, this right here, as you can see. So it's a 70 millimeter throttle. It's 75 millimeter throttle body. Is that right? 75? 75. Yeah, 75 millimeter throttle body instead of a 70, which I believe is the OEM. So we went back to the dyno, and I'll show you that video coming up here in 1 second. Alright, let's click to it now. Shockwave. Sexy exhaust. So this is 263. We're going down to a bass tune. 267. Here's the curve on the line. That was torque. This would be the horsepower curve in line. Add exact dyno. Now it's slowly going up. 278. 269. A little better. What are we looking at this time? 283. Nice. 283. 270. So that's about 13 wheel horsepower gain. Oh wow. As you can see, that was 283 wheel horsepower. That was done on a hub dyno actually. So it doesn't matter what dyno you actually get your dyno tune on. What matters is the gain that you get out of it. So the gain that I got was 37 wheel horsepower and 45 wheel torque. I don't know why I put 44 there back there. I meant to put 45, but it's actually 45 wheel torque. So to validate, that's 350 horsepower at the crank. I had 20% drivetrain loss with 245 wheel horsepower as my base tune. So if we're factoring in 20% drivetrain loss, see if I can get this calculator to focus here. So 350 times 20% drivetrain loss equals 70. So you're losing about 70 at the crank. Focus. So it's 350 minus 70 equals 283. Or 280. So I had 283 wheel horsepower. It's saying around 280 would be about 350 at the crank. I forgot to add the torque figures. So it was 298 horsepower, 260 torque for a 2005 REVUP motor. So we factored 20% drivetrain loss with our base run, OEM, no mods at 245. So, and the torque was at 211. So that's 20%. So what it comes out to be at the crank for both your horsepower figures and your torque figures would be 350 horse and 340 torque. So I started out with 298 horsepower from the factory with a 2005 REVUP motor. It was able to make 37 wheel horsepower gain and 45 wheel torque again. So, you know, 20% drivetrain loss, the math comes out, that's about right, 350 horse. So if you want to get 350 horse, please feel free to check out in the description below the list of mods that I've done again. Also, give a thumbs up if you want to. If you don't, I don't care. And then see you next video. Thanks.
You don't think so?